truant to using drugs, hanging out with gangs, and the list goes on. Just to give you an idea, it's a love-based program, which I know it seems a little strange, taught by police officers who are there, for law and order, but it's all of our facilitators have been trained, 40-hour training. The San Jose Police Department has been wonderful in supporting this. And the first homework, every week the parents have homework, and the first week the homework is to tell your child that you love him or her every day for that week. And it builds, so the second week you get new homework, but the homework actually from the first week you still have to keep doing it. It teaches the parents, I've been to 2 different graduations. One of the graduations was for our Spanish language class, and those classes they're taken off. We cannot supply enough facilitators who speak Spanish fluently to keep those classes going. So we're going to be doing a training this fall. We're looking for anyone who can speak the Spanish language fluently. We're also looking to train more instructors who have the Vietnamese language capability. But both classes were well attended. The graduation, by the time the parents finish the 12 weeks, they have their own little support group that they can work with and bounce problems off of. And they also, the parents were in tears, some of them. Like, there's this one dad, and he was standing there and said that he has not fought with his son since he started the class, which was huge. We get a lot of referrals from the police on the street. We get a lot of referrals from word of mouth, and we're working with the delinquency system, the juvenile justice system, to get referrals as well. A little tricky because the parents are not under the direct jurisdiction of the court, whereas we're hoping to partner with dependency as well.
What a wonderful resource. This question is addressed to Ms. Medina. Do the schools, social services, and juvenile justice systems share the information to determine which family is at highest risk in order to provide them with wraparound services?
If the families are already involved in dependency, then yes, that we're able to at some level share some information relevant to the services that youth needs. Certainly wraparound services are something that would have to involve the school as well as some other system partners. I can say though that we don't automatically just exchange information, that there are confidentiality restrictions about the free flow of information. We do have MOUs with several of the school districts and jurisdictions, so that facilitates that, and we're hoping that will spread, but those are not automatic exchanges of information.
Thank you. This question is also addressed to you, Ms. Medina. And it was another question in regards to the Children of Color Task Force, which you've addressed. But the second part of that was, if it has been around for 2 years, are the DMC numbers changing?
The Children of Color Task Force has actually been around for 10 years, but the Unified Children of Color Task Force has been around a little less than that. So there are 2 pieces to that question. There's the piece about what just the demographic profile looks like, and then there is the question of are there disparities in the decision making throughout each point in the life of the case. So we just in the last couple of years start to do that more aggressive look at, okay, here are the numbers. So the question in terms of the overall gross numbers, they look pretty similar to what they used to look like. Where we see the changes are in the disparity. So all other things being equal except for race, are we seeing those differences decrease? And the answer to that piece of the question is yes.
Thank you. The question is, why are NREFM homes included in totals with parents or relatives placements?
That was really to demonstrate the value of family, that we wanted to really look at those children who were able to, in some sense, remain with family as opposed to those who were in foster care, or what some might call, these are people who didn't previously have a familial connection with the youth. So that was just a way that we looked at that particular dynamic.
Does the Department of Family and Children's Services, as part of your mission, quote, education related to the protection of children, and their need for consistency in their care and nurturing, design or recommend curriculum for parenting classes which are court-approved or compliant.
We have in the past. We still have some parenting classes that we have participated in the development of curriculum. I can tell you that one of the things that we are really trying to shift to is more evidence-based practices. That's something that we're very interested in. So we've utilized programs in the community that have already been certified or recognized as either a promising practice or a best practice, or we're in the process of implementing programs that have some evidence base.
The second part of the question is, how can these classes be found to utilize?
We have a resource directory, and you can outsource any of our policies and procedures and resources through our internet link. So if you go to the county web portal and find DFCS, you can find resources there. Certainly, if you call into our hotline and say I need resources, they'll direct your call to somebody who can give those resources as well.
Does a parent with a multiple time history of spousal abuse need education or court suspension for child visitation?
And that really depends on the specifics of the case. So if we are involved in that case, there probably is some court supervision. There's probably some supervised visitation by a social worker initially or other partner until it's determined that we can step down that visitation. We do seek to use the least restrictive methods that are available that are safe for the child. So if the issue seems to be violence between the parents, but independent of that, the parent can function appropriately with the child, and each situation is different, then that's an assessment that we have to make, and it's likely that we could, have a lower level of supervision in those situations. So it just really depends on how recent the violence is, how relevant, how exposed that youth was to the violence, and how protective we think that the environment the visits are going to occur in would be.
Is there a connection or prediction of child abuse for people with a history of spousal abuse or anger issues?
Certainly people who have anger issues or histories of spousal abuse do seem more likely predisposed to abuse children. That's not an across-the-board statistic, but there is a higher likelihood for that to occur.
After children have developed attachments to their families, why are they taken for adoption without knowledge of birth parents who are now attempting to find their children? Does social services profit from adoptions?
No, social services does not profit from adoptions. The federal law requires that we have a certain time period to provide reunification services. So it's really important for parents when children are in out-of-home care, if they we are charged with providing reunification services, and parents have to be there, they have to be present, they have to stay involved. Because when that time, the obligation of the agency to continue those efforts also dissipates. And so that is when our charge then becomes to provide an alternative permanent arrangement for that child. So that means, we are looking for the most permanent situation, adoption, somebody who will be the forever parent for that child, or a relative or some other person, caregiver, that will commit to a guardianship who will effectively parent that youth for the rest of their life. So it is true that, there were incentives because the federal government really was committed to stopping the issue of foster care drift, to make sure that kids did not linger forever in long-term care without a permanent solution. So there were incentives for jurisdictions to move youth to permanence, but certainly not to adopt out children.